Hey everyone, I hope you're well. I promised you a short nap video, so here it is. So these are my top tips on how to handle a baby that's napping for a short period of time. So firstly, a short nap is probably anything that's under one sleep cycle. So in most children over 4 months, that's around about 45 minutes is a sleep cycle, so therefore anything under that is a bit shorter. Now, it's okay if you've got a child that's napping multiple times a day, that if one of those is under, kind of one sleep cycle, but as long as you've got one nap in the day that's always over one sleep cycle, then you know you're kind of in a good place with naps. So don't be pressurized for every nap to be the same. And as I said, for total nap time in the day is the most important thing. And then how they settle is the second thing, but we're not talking about that today. I've talked about that before. So from a short nap point of view, there's often a stage at around about 4 to 5 months where this happens. And sometimes it's to do with that kind of sleep change that happens around that 3 month mark as they get to kind of the 4 months sleep regression. It can cause an issue. And that's when it's really important. So the tip number one is really to test your awake times. Have a think, look back. Remember my awake times guide, you can access if you haven't got it already via the link in my bio. And you want to know roughly where your child sits on the awake time scale. And from that point of view, you want to then test it slightly. So if you are, you could add 15 minutes or half an hour onto it and see how that goes. But you need to be consistent for like a week. And if they're showing signs of super overtiredness, you might want to make it shorter and see how that goes. But again, you need to kind of give it a week to sort of see if that helps. So test out whether the tiredness is the kind of the angle. The second kind of really important thing to look at is how they're settling. So if your child is dependent on you or something to settle, then it can cause them to wake up after a short period of time, because they go through the different stages of sleep and they come out of them, and they're kind of looking for that thing to get them back to sleep. So that's why when we're looking at a short nap scenario, we're also kind of saying, okay, can the child self-settle? I know I go on about this all the time, but I'm trying to give you sort of reasons where you might understand. So you need to work towards how your child settling, because that might help them. Now, the third thing to think about is what you do when they kind of wake. So obviously, in an ideal world, they've settled well, their awake time's okay, in a good zone, but they're still waking up after sort of 30 minutes. And you need to decide on the response that you're happy with. I mean, I remember when my son was young, I used to leave him to cry, and it was really hard. And sometimes he went back to sleep and sometimes he didn't. So I think you need to decide that is one response you can do. But it's not kind of my favoured one, because since, I learned about it, actually, you can do other things. So you can rush straight in and try and get them to settle. Or you could perhaps go and do a wake to sleep method. And if you want to know more about that, let me know. Basically it means you go in, you kind of rouse them slightly at the end of a sleep cycle and get them to go into another sleep cycle to help them resettle again. And sometimes those sort of things can help. The fourth thing really to talk about is the environment. Make sure the environment's key. Obviously, we're following Lullaby Trust safe sleep guidelines, but darkness is definitely your friend from sort of 4 months upwards. You want to get them in a dark room, because that will help them sleep better. Get that white noise in, comfy clothes. Just think about kind of what your setup looks like to help them sleep better. And the fifth one that people often kind of miss out on a little bit is that wind down. So how does your child wind down for the nap? Are they going in kind of from an activity like exciting straight to like, oh God, it's sleep time? So if you can, try and plan ahead a little bit and sort of do a bit of a wind down and help them settle, because if you can do that, then you might be kind of calming them down for bed, and it might help them to kind of sleep for longer. So that's probably the top 5 tips I've got in terms of short naps. It can be a bit of an issue for many people. You need to think about those 5 things and consider them all, but sometimes it just needs a bit of time to work on those, so don't judge it too quickly. Obviously, kind of any issues, I can look at this from a troubleshooting point of view, or perhaps ask me a question on a Monday and I'll get back to you on it. But that's my short naps video that I promised you. So take care, and I hope that helps.